Just one more minute, please. Okay. Okay. Hello, everybody. Good afternoon here in Mexico City. Hello, boys and girls. Welcome again to this show, the Volley Talks, on the Facebook page of Plus Volleyball. My name is Alejandro Castillo, and I'm broadcasting from Mexico City. Today, Wednesday, October 14th of 2020. I'm very honored to receive in this episode number 107 to a big volleyball personality, not just in USA or NORCECA, but in the entire world. It's an honor to me to present you Mr. Tom Blue, directly from Roanoke, Virginia. Is that right, Tom? Hello, how are you?
That's very good, Alejandro. I'm well, thank you. Thank you for having me on your show. As I said, I understand you're nobody until you've been on Alejandro's show, so I'm very happy to be here.
No, thanks to you for accepting the invite. So it's great to have you here. You have a great history in volleyball, and well, we will talk a little about your beginnings in volleyball, how you get involved in refereeing, of course, your international career, the Olympics, and then as a supervisor or as a member of the refereeing commissions. And what about you are doing now? Okay, so we will be here around 1 hour, hour 15. So again, it's great to be in contact with you, Tom. Thanks a lot again.
Okay, what do you
Okay.
want to talk about first?
Well, first, how's everything in Virginia? How are you dealing with this Corona thing for the
Well,
last 6 or 7 months?
Alejandro, I'm 73 years old, so I've spent 6 months at home. We're not going out much. We stay around. We read a lot. We watch a lot of Netflix and Amazon Prime, and we're dealing with it. But it is what it is. I, I would love for them to figure out a way to get rid of this thing so we can get back to life.
Yeah, right. Well, please take care. Please take care, Tom. In USA, in Mexico, in all the world, we hope to be back in volleyball action. Hope next year. Hope that in the first quarter. It not depends of any of us. It depends of the vaccine, of course.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, Tom, again, thanks again for being here. As I told you before, I want to talk with you about your like all the past guests about your beginnings in volleyball, how you get involved in as a referee, your international career, and what did after you retired from as a referee, as international referee. What are you doing now? How are you today involved in volleyball, and things like that.
Okay. Well, I started in volleyball in about 1965.
65.
I was working at a summer camp for University of California alumni and their families, and in our spare time, we played doubles volleyball, but we played on an asphalt court. And so this is probably why I never learned how to dive, because I think I did once and that was the end of that. But we learned how to play doubles there. And then when I went to the university, I played on we only had club teams then, at least at the schools that I went to. So I played on their club team and got my first coaching and really playing indoors for the first time. And it was great. Loved the sport. Kept going. When I changed campuses, I went to University of California at Santa Barbara and played again for the club team at the Santa Barbara Y and played a little on the beach there. I think, in fact, in 1971, I played this couple that was an older man and his young son, Yeah, I think he was about 10 years old then, and got beat badly by him. So, Karch beat me just like he's beaten everybody else. I kept going in volleyball. I went to law school in Kansas City, went down to the YMCA and joined a team there. And back in those days, when you went to tournaments, when you weren't playing, you were usually refereeing the next match. And the team that I was on happened to have 3 international referees on the team. Glenn Davies was the coach. Tom Slaymaker was one of the players, and Larry Ricketts, who was also an international referee, was one of the players.
Did you play at the same time with Doug Wilson, with people like Doug Wilson, Doug Bill?
Well, we were of the same age, so yeah. Uh, we didn't see each other that much back then. We were playing mostly in our regions until you went to national tournaments, and I wasn't ready for national tournaments then.
Okay. How was for the younger people? Please tell us how was volleyball at that time. You told me that there were no club volleyball at that time. How did you play volleyball? Just in college or just in the beach? How was that?
It was well, you mean when we were playing with rocks? No, it was mostly club volleyball in what was called USVBA, United States Volleyball Association then. Most of the competitive volleyball was there. The colleges were playing also, but it wasn't a huge sport in college. It wasn't at the schools I went to, but most of the competition was in club volleyball, and that was just sort of self-organized, and you'd go to tournaments and play other teams in your region, and if you did well, or you could go on to a national tournament, something like that. But it's the same game. I mean, volleyball. Well, it certainly has changed over the years, but the basics of the sport have been the same, and it's been good for people of all ages to be playing. So you can start young and you can keep going. At our national championships, we have age groups of 75.
Yeah, well, that was part of the spirit of William Morgan to create volleyball.
That's
That
right.
can be played by the people of all ages, right?
Yep. He wanted a less strenuous sport. Well, it kind of didn't turn out that way, but I guess you could play it that way.
Hey Tom, and in college, did you kept playing beach or just indoor?
Uh, at the universities, beach was just sort of a fun thing to do on the weekends and those tournaments, but most of it was indoors.
Right, but did you play also for fun beach when you were in your 20s, in your
Yeah,
30s?
yeah, absolutely. When I was in Santa Barbara, I mean, there's no better place to be playing beach volleyball
Yes, of course.
than on East Beach in Santa Barbara. So that was a lot of fun. But my success in beach volleyball was a little limited at 170 centimeters. You don't get a whole lot. You get served a lot. Let's put it that way. Okay.
Yeah. And at that time, have you ever had the chance for playing for national team or going to some trials, or that was not the goal?
No, no, not for me. It was a hobby. It was something to do on the side. It was something to keep active, and basically, I did. I stayed with volleyball from 1965 all the way until my knees wore out in the late 80s.
Wow, that's great. We have some messages, Tom, from people all over the world. My friend Octavio Medina from Mexico, but now living in Seattle, Washington, says Tom and Alex, hello, and you are a huge personality, he says.
Thanks very much. It's very
Uh,
kind.
Magda Gleaves, she's Polish,
Yep,
right now
I'm
living in USA.
I know Magda.
Says hello to
Very,
you,
very
Alex.
nice lady. Good referee.
Yes, yes, I know. She says hello to you, Alex, and to Mr. Blue.
Hello, Magda.
Maria del Sol Rodriguez from Mexico also says hi. And Mr. Fabian Concia from Argentina says, hello, Tom. I feel wonderful to see you. Best regards.
Fabian. Fabian, I love Fabian. He's a great guy. We've had some good times together at World League and other events. Wonderful.
Thanks, thanks. So please, Tom, share with us about your, well, you played college volleyball, and what happened next? How did you get involved into refereeing? Who invited you to be a referee? How was that transition?
Well, as I said, I was playing on this team in Kansas City that had 3 international referees. And, at the tournaments, you're supposed to referee the matches where you don't play. And they said, Blue, you go up. So I learned very quickly. I knew the basics of refereeing and went about it. And then after each match, of course, I got very straightforward critiques from these guys who were big time referees. So I was able to learn fairly quickly. And then when I went to work after law school, that's when I moved to Virginia. And there wasn't a whole lot of volleyball in this town. I had to go to another city to play, but started informal refereeing again. But we needed what we call certified referees in the region. When you go to a tournament, you actually have to have been qualified as a referee in order to work, even the team matches. So I went ahead and qualified here, and then kept going. And in 1983, I was sent to the national tournament to become a national referee, and kept going with national refereeing, kept working, and started working in the college matches on the East Coast, and became a national referee for colleges in 1985. And then in 1987, Wink Davenport was the head of the international referees for USA Volleyball then. He sent Doug Wilson and I to Puerto Rico for our international refereeing qualification course. And I think I sent you a picture of the course. This is where Dr. Andre
Holvey,
director.
Okay, here is the picture.
And yeah, that's it. And they're Doug and I are in the third row up. Doug's on the right side, and I'm 2 over from him. That's when I was sporting a full beard. What you don't see is the fact that the day we arrived, we were playing volleyball on the court, waiting for Dr. Hove to arrive, and I had a 3rd-degree sprain in my ankle.
Wow, really?
So my foot is probably in an ice bucket when you look at this picture.
So this is 87 in Puerto Rico.
Yes, it is.
Okay, how many other international referees are here in this picture?
In this picture?
People you remember?
Oh, well, I remember all of them, but there were a lot from Puerto Rico. In the front row is Fio Gandara and Aurelio Mendoza, and then a lady from Venezuela and the lady from Honduras, and Kenny Navarro from Curacao. And then let's see, there were like 5 or 6 referees from Puerto Rico, and I don't remember all their names. I'm not sure if they finally qualified at the end or not.
Okay. Victor Rodriguez is not here.
Victor Rodriguez, I think he had already gone to a course.
Okay, great. So, well, the course was in 87, and what happened next? When did you get the badge?
I got the badge in '89. We went back to Puerto Rico for the NORCECA senior men's championships, and in those days you had to go to the championships and referee 3 matches, basically, that were evaluated by the referee subcommittee. And so I got my 3 matches in, and then I believe a couple more. But it was a very interesting process. Enjoyed it very much, and then started the process of really getting experience as an international referee.
Yes, I know we were talking about 31 years ago, and well, the volleyball has changed a lot since then.
Yes, it has.
Which do you think are the main differences between the late 80s volleyball and today's volleyball, besides the height and the power of the players?
Well, the strategies employed by the coaches are certainly different. With the increased athleticism of the players, they're able to do a lot more than they were back then. But back then, of course, there were some very strong players and teams. This is when the USA team was doing very well with Karch and Steve Timmons and Craig Buck and
Dusty Dvorak.
All those guys were at the height of their game back then.
Yeah, Pat Powers was here last week, and he told us a great histories about the team with Fred Storm and Doug Bill and Bill Neville. Huge generation, right, in the 80s.
Absolutely.
Which factors did you think converge to in this generation that they were so powerful in the 80s?
Well, Doug Beal, of course, has to have a lot of the credit. As the coach of this team, he developed the process to move a team forward and make them play their best. And then the coaches that came after him in the USA adopted a very similar systems and became very successful at developing their players, developing their teams, and advancing the team's ability to play.
Yeah, and I think it was more worthy because at that time Pat Powers told me that the players were not allowed to compete in pro leagues.
No, that's true. That was something that limited them. Although it forced the team to stay together and become more of a team, they had more of an opportunity to work with themselves. And yeah, their improvement had to be at home and homegrown and using the coaches that they had here instead of being able to go to another pro team and getting other experience. But certainly for the mid 80s, that worked pretty well.
Yes, right. Hey, look, guess who's here? Mr. Doc Wilson is in the house. Says hi, Tom. Great to see you and great memories with you.
Senor Wilson, buenos tardes, buenas noches. Oh, it's in Colorado. Buenas tardes.
Colorado. It's in Colorado. It's 5:20 right now.
Yeah. Well,
mountain time.
And in Colorado, who knows? It may be snowing. It may be 80 degrees where he is.
Yes, who knows? Hey, well, talking about Mr. Wilson, he told us 2 or 3 weeks ago he was here, and he told me that one of the big opportunities was that he lives in Castle Rock, Colorado, and the team was training at that time full time in Colorado Springs. Which factor did you think helped to you? Because the national team has never trained in Virginia.
No, they haven't. Well, I got my experience by being very available to go to any event. In those days, the USA teams, they played a lot of tours. They had the big events. Obviously, they had the Olympics, the World Championships, World Cup, and all those. But in between, since they couldn't play in pro leagues,
and there were no such thing like Pan Am Cups or VNL.
No. NORCECA didn't have much of anything going on then. they played a lot of tours. They would bring national teams over from Russia, from China, from Japan, from the Netherlands, and they would go on a tour of 5, 6, 7 cities and play them in all the different cities. And I always made myself available to be a referee on those tours. So that's basically where I got most of my experience. I started going abroad with the teams on tours in, I guess it was 91. I went to tours in Japan and in Hungary, and then started, that kind of experience. And then I got my first real big break was to go to the World Championships in 1994 in
Greece.
Greece. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. And well, I can assume that going to that World Championships was a big step for the Olympics in Atlanta, right?
Oh, it was a huge step. Yeah. I mean, it certainly at least got me exposed to all the best teams in the world. And that's necessary. A referee has to be recognized by the teams for him or her to be successful. And so getting the exposure to those teams in competition is very important.
Yeah, right. At that time, Doc, which people, which I don't know, which other referee or which volleyball personalities was a influence for you, or was like a role model for you?
Oh, there were a bunch.
I can imagine.
This is when Takashi Shimoyama from Japan was working at the height of his refereeing career. Jean-Francois Marty from France, Stoyanov from Bulgaria, Pepe Sandler from Cuba.
Pepe Sandler, yeah.
Yeah, and of course Jose Perez Vento from Cuba, and Bobby Clark was working then from the U.S. Oh geez, who else? Well, Sonsak Chariampong from Thailand. These were all the referees that I was seeing at the World Championships and at the World events from then on. And so I was able to pick up a whole lot of good stuff from them.
Yes, I can imagine. And how did you deal with the I don't know if those are the exact words, but to be in contact with coaches, with the players from other countries? Which was your approach with this kind of people in that level, in a World Championship or in Olympics?
Back then we were separated from the teams, very much so. We hardly had, the only time we really saw the teams was when we were on the court at the competition. It wasn't quite the same. I think the fact that we've been able to associate with and to some degree socialize and do things like this, these Zoom meetings, I think is the best thing that's happened this year, because it lets coaches and referees coexist on the same platform, discuss things civilly, and and try to understand each other. And I think that that's very important in order to earn the respect of each other, so that when you're on the court, you're not so much in a war as you are, in a performance and trying to make everything work.
Yes, I totally agree with you. But do you think that all these protocols kept obviously the players, the coaches, and the referees living in two separate worlds?
Yeah, it did. Very
Totally,
much
right?
so. Oh yeah, it was very much that way in my opinion. Back then, we never saw them until we got onto the floor.
And I think
we were usually in different hotels.
And I think at that time it was impossible to even in the hotel go to with a player and ask him for a signature, or please take a picture with me. It was not
Yeah.
allowed. It was not well seen.
As I said, we were usually in different hotels, and you never really got the chance to do that.
Yeah, I can imagine. Well, Mr. Zaragoza told me a lot about that. It was very different of nowadays.
Yeah, it is. I mean, one of the one of the most amazing moments I think I had was when I was a referee supervisor and went to the World League final in Sofia, Bulgaria. And I arrived, uh, got off the plane, and the organizer had arranged for a taxi to take me to the hotel. And they met me at the airport and showed me the taxi and said, "Oh, would you mind sharing the cab?" And I said, "Well, certainly, that's not a problem at all." And so Bernardo Rezende got in the cab with me, okay? The infamous Bernardinho, who had been, the the scourge of referees for years and years and years. Okay,
Yes.
so we had half an hour, 45 minutes in the cab. We had a wonderful conversation. We were civil. We discussed everything. It was very friendly. He was a wonderful guy. And, it was something that I had rarely seen before because it was always on the court and his veins were bulging out of his neck.
Yeah, I remember very well Bernardillo. Here's another picture, Tom. This
Oh,
is USA versus Cuba, right?
yeah, it is. This is one of those tours I was talking about. Cuba came, and that was the team with Diago and
The
well,
Spain.
Despaña, and it was there. In fact, there's Diago down next to my right hand,
Yeah.
and they were a very very strong. Well, they very strong team. They
Yeah.
were
Well, they were World Cup champions in 91,
yeah
89. Yeah.
yeah. This was in 1888 or 89 in North Carolina. We had we had 3 or 4 stops, and we packed gymnasiums for these matches because this was still a very very strong USA team in those days. Well, this was before they went to the Olympics in Seoul, so it was one of the strongest teams that they ever had, and it was a fun match, very fun match.
Yeah, I can imagine. And well, considering that at that time, Cuba team playing in the in U.S. soil, it was
Oh
a
yeah,
singular thing, right?
that was yeah it was difficult to arrange, but it happened. And you see this, I still had not gotten this. Must have been 88 because I don't have my FIVB badge on yet.
Okay. So it was for you
When
like
I
a
was still a
training.
national referee, it was very much of a training. Yeah.
Yeah. Great. So, well, you went to Greece for World Championships in '94, then to
And then
Atlanta.
uh, well
How was that time?
in 95 we had World Cup in Japan,
Oh
and
yeah, that's right.
I went to Japan for the Women's World Cup, and that was another great experience. Got exposed to some more referees. Willie Paredes was there. Costas Margaritas was there,
From Greece, right?
uh, and oh, so many others.
Fran
Uh,
Loderus, maybe.
let's see. Oh,
Umit Sokulu from Turkey.
no, Umid wasn't there yet. From let's see, from Italy is Paolo Porcari was there. Who else?
Josebel Palmerin from Brazil.
Yes, he was. Yeah, Joseph Bell. Well, Joseph Bell was in Greece with me as well, and then yeah, Joseph Bell was at World Cup in '95, and Peter Henry from Canada was also at the World Championships in Greece and at World Cup. Yeah, there were some wonderful referees that I learned a lot from in those 2 years. And then we were preparing for the Atlanta Olympics in '95. So we put on the pre-Olympic tournament in Atlanta, and had, let's see, it was Japan, Italy. Forget U.S. and who was the fourth team?
You mean the Olympic test?
Yeah, it was the Olympic test event, and that was fun. But that helped us very much with preparing for the Olympics. This is where we had the final training for all of our line judges and scorers.
Including Patty Rolfe, who was a line judgment in the final.
She was a line judge. Yes, yes.
Okay. And Tom, how did you get that notice? Because well, the Olympics were played in U.S. soil in Atlanta. It was an extra pressure for you.
Sure. I mean, whenever you're the host, you're under pressure. Because you have to worry about not only the matches but also taking care of the other referees, and I was happy to do that. But yeah, there is a certain amount of pressure in being the host, but it was a pleasure to do.
Okay, and how can you describe the atmosphere between the referees at that tournament? It was the centennial of Olympics, and well, they were competing both USA and Russia or USSR in the same Olympics. How was the all that, and obviously the bombing in Atlanta?
Well,
It's a lot of things involved in that.
this was one thing, was that at that point in 96, the American team, how can I say this gracefully, had taken a step down.
Yes, I know.
From their previous success at the Olympics. And they had gold medals the men had gold medals in 84 and 88 and a bronze medal in 92. The women had their bronze medal in 92 and they had their silver medal in 84.
Yeah.
They were great teams. And then most of those players moved on. And so they were starting over.
No more Steve Timmons, no more Karshkurai, no more just Jeff Stork.
Karch went to the beach and said, so long.
Yeah.
But it was, the event was fantastic. I mean, going to an Olympics is just, it's such a tremendous experience. It's overwhelming. It's exhausting, but it's a wonderful experience. And to be able to referee the Olympics in your own country with, a packed house of 18,000, mostly your countrymen, is very nice. I mean, you actually get applause.
Yes, of course. And how was your performance in that Olympics? It was the only Olympics for you, Atlanta?
It was the only Olympics that I refereed because after the World Championships in 98, I was invited to go. And once you go to the referee commission, you can't referee anymore.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They think, you have to be infallible. And so if you referee, you're not infallible.
Yeah. So, well, you went to the World Championships in Japan, right, in '98?
Yes.
And
yeah.
Then to the commission. And how was that transition? Well, you were invited by Mr.
Dr. Holvey. Dr. Holvey extended the invitation, and of course, Dr. Acosta was the president of FIVB then, and it basically had to go through him. But I went 1 year as an observer to the referee commission, and then I was invited to join officially in 2000.
And how different was for you to being a referee and then being a referee supervisor, a member of the refereeing commission?
Well, it's totally different to me. I mean, you're no longer involved in your self-performance. You're having to work with others in order to get the best performance from them. I had some certain skills that were very valuable to the referee commission. I mean, one, my command of English, I was able to help, along with Sandy Steele, draft documents, do a lot of the writing, and also to try to help communication between members of the commission, for most of whom English was a second language. And, you know, I was able to understand a lot of what they were trying to say before several of the other people, and I could help that. I mean, this is something that I think American referees have been very useful for even since then, all the way down to the present time, is helping with the English problems.
Are there still language issues in the FIVB, do you think? Maybe in sometimes?
Were there issues?
Yeah, language problems, language issues.
Well, when English is your second language, you learn it, and you learn it in a certain way in your, you know, converting from your language to English. And then you're talking to somebody else who has learned English from another country, and they have learned it differently. Yes. So sometimes there are issues. Sometimes there's misunderstanding on things that are said. And if I was able to understand those misunderstandings, I was able to be helpful to the people involved.
Great, Tom. And how much time did you get involved in FIVB and Refereeing Commission?
Well, I joined them in 2000, and I was on the commission until 2012.
Okay, and right now, how are you helping refereeing? Are you still a referee coach or no more?
Yeah. That's the extent of what I'm doing now, is as a referee coach for USA Volleyball and for the colleges in my area. I'm helping the referees when we have volleyball. Excuse me, let me.
No problem. It's okay?
Yeah.
You got answer or not?
No, it's all political calls now.
Yeah, I can imagine that.
You know, this election is just terrible.
It's crazy times,
It
right?
is absolutely crazy.
Damn it. Okay. Well, so are you still a referee supervisor or a member of the committee of the control committee of competitions? How are you contributing today to FIVB?
To FIVB?
To FIVB or for the development of volleyball?
No, FIVB has done nothing with me since 2012.
Okay.
I have served as a referee manager at events that are in the U.S., but no, all of my work now is pretty much local. Well, inside the U.S. anyhow. I'll supervise referees at the national tournament or at our junior national events. And
at some time you were also involved in the NORCECA refereeing commission, right?
Yeah, I was also on the NORCECA referee commission from 2000 until 2012, and I was the secretary there too.
Wow, great! And also an instructor, right? I have known that you were instructor.
Yeah. I did several international referee candidate courses. One of them in Mexico City. It was a wonderful time.
It was in 2003, I think, right?
Yes, that's right. Yeah, we had Fernando Nava was my host, and he had two sons in the course. Let's see. Oh, that's when Luis was one of the students in the course, and also Paul Albright and Brian Hemmelgarn, and let's see. Edgardo LaForest from Puerto Rico, I think we had over 20, candidates in that course. It was very good.
Paul Albright is still an international referee, or she retired?
He is still an international referee. He is I think he is qualified as the review referee, the challenge referee.
Okay.
Now, I think he has stopped active referee.
Great. So, well, after 2012, you have been involved, especially in U.S. Events.
Yeah, that's big. Yeah, pretty much stay in the country now.
Okay.
I got enough traveling to do.
Hey, Tom, which advices would you give to young people who want to become referees? And sometimes they say they do it pretty well from 1 year, year and a half, and they say, "Hey, I deserve everything because I ref very well." Which advice do you have for these young referees?
Get rid of your ego. All right, you always have something to learn as a referee, and your ability to move forward in refereeing depends on your ability to function with the people who are administering the volleyball, whoever is responsible for you. If you work with them, they're going to help you move along. Uh, Certainly, the best advice that I would give a young referee is to find themselves a mentor, somebody who knows them, knows what their history is, has seen them work, and is willing to help them work more. And the experience of people who have been in the process is absolutely invaluable. And for young people to do it, and those that really want to move forward, that's very, very important.
Well, I know that right now the process has changed a little. Now you have to be first a continental international referee and then can become an international referee. And I think this pipeline is very hard for a lot, maybe hard for a lot of people because they have to wait more time, right?
It takes a lot longer. Yeah, certainly. I mean, when Doug Wilson and I went through the process, we took our course in '87. We were international referees in '89, and then you got your experience. Now, uh, I think the theory is that you get your experience um, as a continental referee, and for the most part, that's probably what we were actually doing was uh, was refereeing more inside NORCECA. It was just different types of events that we did than they are doing now, and there are so many more events for the youth teams, for the junior teams, for the club teams, uh, that people can go to and get their experience. I mean, that's the way that it's done now.
All right. And in the other hand, which advice would you give to a new international referee? Maybe the same, right?
As far, yeah, I mean, it's pretty much the same. You Once you pass your course, you still have a long way to go. You have gain experience. You have to become recognized by the teams that are in the events. Okay, every team is going to test every referee, especially if they have not seen them. And you have to be able to withstand those tests and maintain your ability to referee a good match, a fair match, and to that way gain the confidence of the teams, their coaches, and of course the referee supervisors.
Yeah, and I think that one of the great strengths of being a trustable referee, it's to be consistent, right? To be consistent a long time.
Consistency is important, and that's what's going to give teams confidence in you as a referee. But once you have established yourself and the teams, when they come in the court and they see you or the referee and they go, okay, it's going to be a good match. You can make mistakes. You will make mistakes, and they will forgive mistakes as long as you work with, the teams to recognize when errors have been made, and that it's going to happen. But you that's an important difference in the way that it works.
We have another few messages. Tom, Rocio Warcaya from Peru says hi, Mr. Tom Blue.
Rocio, nice to hear from you.
Rocio Huarcaya, La China Huarcaya from Peru.
Yes, I remember her well.
Yeah. And my man, Dennis Perez, says,
Ah! Denny was in my first course.
yeah, he's saying that regards to my professor. Tom was my professor in my course.
That was the first course that I did when I was the director, and I had a very inexperienced instructor in Jim Coleman. Jim was the most fantastic person to have at a course on volleyball. It didn't matter if it was coaching or refereeing or what, but he was able to impart a whole lot of knowledge to a lot of people. Yeah, Denis Cespedes and Yuri Ramirez were both, and Mary Holly Blaylock were all in that course in La Romana, Dominicana.
Dominican Republic.
Yep.
Okay, say hello to my friend Denis Perez, who is living in Long Island, New York right now.
Yes, he is.
Saludos, Denny, hasta Nueva York. We will show, oh, I will show another pictures. Tom, this is from Atlanta, right?
Yes, it is.
This uniform was a very nice uniform. It was Mizuno, and the color, it was great, I think.
Oh, Mizuno was wonderful to us. We got our first sets of these uniforms in Greece in 1994. And then they gave us, this was the set that we had in Atlanta. And they were beautifully made and beautifully tailored, except the shirts. You couldn't launder the shirt and put it in a dryer, or it would shrink really badly.
And well, the shoes are also amazing.
I still have those. In fact, I think I still have the whole uniform.
Okay, and here's another picture of you in where?
This was in Japan in 2003 for World Cup. I recognized the tie.
Oh yeah, you were there as a referee supervisor.
It was called the referee subcommittee then, and yeah, we were the referee delegates who would sit at the tables for all the matches.
Tom, in where can you say that you have seen the greatest volleyball crowd? Maybe Japan?
The greatest volleyball crowd?
Yeah.
Anywhere in Brazil. And if you go to a world event in Brazil, it doesn't matter how big the stadium is, it will be full. And it will be full for an hour before the match starts. And everybody in the stadium will be wearing a yellow shirt. And the noise starts and it never stops. In most of the cases in Brazil, whenever I refereed there, I couldn't hear. You would have to just make big signals to get the players to move. But yeah, I mean, the crowds in Brazil were wonderful. Japanese crowds, especially when Japan was playing, wonderful. The same in Italy. There were great places to have volleyball. Bulgaria and Serbia and Poland. The Polish crowds were the same as Brazil. It was just in red and white instead of yellow.
Yes, of course. Here I have the last picture in Sydney.
Yeah, this was the group in Sydney. This was the referee subcommittee. We had Jean-Francois Marty and Hassan Mohammed, Dr. Hove, Dr. Ma from China. What was he from Brazil? His name escapes me, but at my age, everything escapes me. Me and then Mark Nishiwaki from Japan.
Is Jarque? No. Is Jarque the Brazilian guy? No.
Jarque? No.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the Olympics in Sydney were wonderful. It was a perfect place to be at that time. It was springtime in Sydney. The weather was beautiful. The facilities were outstanding. The crowds were all good. It was very well organized, and it was a wonderful Olympics.
Great. Tom, along all your career, domestically and internationally, which player or players, maybe male or female, have impressed you the most?
Impressed me the most?
Impressed you the most, or a player that you say, hey, I like the way that player, male or female, plays, their energy, their passion, their power. I don't know.
You have to start with Mireia Luis.
Oof. She was here in the show for the fourth time
She
last
should be.
Friday.
Yeah, she should be.
People loves Mary Elvis.
I remember seeing her the Pan Am Games in Indianapolis in 1987. Doug and I were line judges for that, and I watched Cuba playing Peru, the women, and
another great team.
I saw the Peru team was had their backs to me, and Maria was on the other side of the net. I saw the Peruvian block go up, and Maria's waist was at the top of the block. I mean, she just went up and looked around and said, "Oh, there's an open spot." Boom, and the ball went down. Certainly, there were a lot of players who have been just absolutely spectacular throughout the years, but she was certainly the first and really the most impressive.
Yeah, you have another name and maybe one male player.
I mean, I was a setter, so I love the way that Volleyball ran his teams
Olympic
for
champion
so many
Volleyball.
years. But you know, the difference is I'm 5'8" and he's 6'8". So he was able to do a whole lot more than I was, but he had wonderful hands and a wonderful way of moving the game around. And there's so many good setters now too that are so impressive. I mean, hitters, well, Pat Powers. I remember a match. It was one of our tours again. We had something called the USA Cup, and they had a match in Washington, D.C. And I remember that USA was playing Italy, and Dusty Dvorak was the setter, and Pat was in the back row, and I was line judge number 3. So looking at the long line, and the Dusty went running for the set, and the entire Italian block moved over to my right side, the right side of the net for me. And he just flipped it up. Pat comes out of the back row, and you could see him drooling. There was nobody between him and me, and he put it down a ball so scary. I mean, it was really one of the most impressive hits I'd ever seen.
He was a very powerful player, right?
Very powerful player. Yeah, he was one of the first back row players that was just such a weapon. It was incredible. And Joel de España from Cuba was also really he could take over a match. Just his presence on the court, the way that he drove his team, as well as the way that he played the ball, was very impressive. And there've been, there's so many players now that they're very difficult to come up with someone that really is head and shoulders.
You are in these days a follower of international volleyball, indoor or beach, or not so more?
Oh yeah, no, it's much better now. I don't have to travel to see volleyball. I can see volleyball all over the world on a widescreen TV. It's wonderful. I've been watching all the world events when they were happening, and the broadcasts are fantastic. They're much better than they used to be. Well, there didn't used to be any, frankly, and now you can see every world event that there is. So I'm enjoying volleyball very much, right from this seat.
Yeah, it's impressive. I have in the last 5 or 6 years, I have seen the entire VNL and World League in streaming.
Yeah,
All the games in all the world. It's pretty amazing.
yeah, I can watch as much as I want. Just depends on what time I want to get up.
Hey Tom, I have a few more questions for you.
Okay.
Which rule, if it were up to you, which rule would you change in current day volleyball?
Would I change?
Yeah, or make some adjustment.
Well, we spent, or I spent, at least on the commission, 12 years discussing this. And there were a lot of things that were proposed, and some of them were changed, and then they were changed back. I mean, the rules of volleyball have gone in a circle for a lot of things. The way the score is done, the way the net is called, the way the ball is touched. I think that right now there's a lot of talk about ignoring double contact on the second contact, which might be, I think, something good. It would allow the game to continue without the interruption of a referee, and something that's very subjective. I think as long as the ball on the second contact goes to one of your own players, who cares if the ball
Yeah,
was double hit or not? If it was doubled, it's going to be a bad set. And it's not to your advantage at all. I mean, in any other circumstance, certainly on an attack, you want to call a double contact. But that's something that is under discussion, and I think it has some merit. They're going to have to, I think they'll have to experiment with it, just like they do everything else. But I mean, the rules are the rules. What I would like is that they stay consistent. They come up with something that helps the game. I don't like the fact that they change rules for the advantage of a specific player or position or something like that. I think they have to make the rules make rules that enhance the sport. Okay, we want to see the basic sport of volleyball, which we know and have loved for years and years and decades and decades. We want to see it become more popular. We want to see it become more spectacular. We want to see the athletes able to accomplish more. And that's something that you have to take into consideration whenever you talk about changing a rule. Whenever a rule is changed, there are always other things that happen. When they talk, fooling around with the attack line, and making people land behind the attack line, something like that. And yeah, it might accomplish something. It might help the defense to some degree, but there's always something that works around it. They created the libero, for defensive purposes. Well, the libero has become an offensive weapon, because anybody who plays real good defense is also your best passer, and that always helps.
Yeah, I totally agree with you with the libero. It has enhanced the offense in all teams at the world level.
Yeah, I mean, they created the libero so that the little people could have the chance to play. Well, now some of the liberos are 6'5", 6'6". They just happen to be excellent passers and defenders. So that didn't work out so well, at least as far as that's concerned. But I think that the libero has enhanced the game. It has increased the quality of the people who can pass and play defense, because you've got that person on the court who's a specialist.
Yes, right. There are a lot of people that think that maybe the height of the net may be raised, because of the tall of their tallest players. I don't agree with that, but there are a lot of people that are saying that.
Well, yeah, but volleyball is volleyball, and it's a sport for world-class players and for people like me. And if you raise the height of the net, you totally eliminate the shorter player. You
Yes,
know,
of
yeah,
course.
it does make it more difficult for the offense if the net's a little higher. It's also more difficult for the defense. But why not just keep it the way it is and learn how to play better?
Yeah, right. Tom, have you ever been involved in beach volleyball or just indoor?
Well, uh, as I said, I mean, I took part in the tournaments on East Beach and Santa Barbara in the early '70s, and donated my entry fee after I got my 2 matches in. And then I think I refereed one beach tournament in 1985 down in Fort Lauderdale. But other than that, no, it's been all inside.
Great, Tom. Great, great, great. Thanks for your time. How much time will be Tom Blue involved in volleyball activities in the future in the USA?
Well, that depends on when we get back to playing.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of it depends on how we treat what happens with this virus, what happens with going back to sports. I mean, I'm happy to give my time. I have for, I don't know, 40, 50 years now. So I'm happy to keep doing that. And I think I probably still have a few good things to say. And the basics of refereeing have not changed. By technology and by those kind of things. But the basics of refereeing, you still have to do the same things now that you did back in the '80s. So, and those I think.
Yeah, yeah, totally agree with you. The basics hasn't changed. And well, Patty Rolfe told me here that you have a big challenge in the USA by recruiting new prospects for volleyball referees, right?
Absolutely, our junior volleyball events are so huge. I mean, when we put 160 courts under one roof for 3 or 4 days, you can imagine the number of matches that need to be refereed at a high level. And we do recruiting is a big problem, and I think Patty's probably got some of the good ideas. We just need to put them into effect. We need to get players more interested in refereeing so that they've got something to do when they stop playing. We have to get fans and parents to be less obnoxious to referees and to the refereeing team so that people aren't driven away. I think that's a huge problem.
We have another message from Euclides Masco. I don't remember if he's from Ecuador or from Peru, but he says hello to Tom Blue.
Hi back.
Euclides Masco. Um, Tom, in your words, how can you define these words that says the refereeing philosophy or the art of refereeing?
The art of refereeing, you have to, well, it takes preparation, first of all. Every referee has to be totally prepared for every match that they go into. They have to not only know the rules, they have to know what sort of issues arise because of certain rules and how to deal with them in all circumstances. When something only happens once a year, if you have an exceptional substitution, if you have the redesignation of a libero, okay, it doesn't happen very often, but you as a referee have to be able to know what to do, go through the process, and keep the match going. Okay, this is what's important. This is what will make you look good in the eyes of everybody around. Said, oh, there's a problem. Oh, he's taking care of it. No problem. All right. You have to be able to know and apply the rules fairly, and you have to be able to do them very smoothly. It's, you know, the way that you do this has a big effect on your appearance as a referee.
Yes, totally agree with you, Tom. Tom, it has been a pleasure to be in touch with you, to be in this amazing and funny talk with you. Thanks a lot. I have a last question for you, Tom.
Uh,
Um, which which real Mexican food do you like the most?
Real Mexican food.
Which
Okay.
real Mexican
Real
food?
direct. Okay. Well, when we were in Mexico City in 2003, um, Carlos Villa,
Carlos Villa,
okay,
yeah.
you know, with the
Yes.
Federation, took us to a restaurant downtown where they had this stuffed fish, which was baked in foil. That was the most fantastic meal I've ever had.
Really?
That I would say was real Mexican. Okay, I love Mexican food. I grow my own peppers here,
Oh,
and
really?
oh yeah, yeah. I've got habaneros and serranos and poblanos.
Habaneros is
Tabasco is a little more American, but
habaneros are great.
oh yeah, and yeah. Well, I grow them mainly so I can make ceviche. But that's more
Really?
Peruvian. That's more Peruvian than it is Mexican. But that's one
We
of
in
my favorite foods.
Mexico, we also in Mexico have great ceviche.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Well, the next step. Oh, I know where else. When we had the World Championships for the junior boys
in
in
Tijuana.
Tijuana, yeah, we went down to Rosarita and had
Oh,
lobsters.
great lobster in the world in Rosarito.
Yeah, that was those were very, very, very good. Yeah.
Right. Well, Tom, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for being here. Thanks a lot for sharing your talks, your experiences, your stories. It has been a great time for me. We have another message here. Mary Carmen Duran from Guadalajara, Jalisco, Mexico says,
Of
I don't
course, this
have,
is to Mary Carmen.
she says, I don't have the pleasure of meet you, but I heard of you in different talks. I will hope to meet you soon. Yeah, me too.
I hope I have the pleasure also.
Hey,
And
Tom, yesterday FIVB announced the next year group World Championships, group H World Championships. The under 18 girls World Championships will be here in Mexico next year.
in Mexico City,
No, we don't know
oh,
exactly
just
where,
you're just going to be the host somewhere. Well,
but
good.
yeah, Mexico.
Congratulations. Your federation does a very good job in organizing. I mean, they're wonderful hosts. They do a great job wherever. I've been to events in Tijuana, in Mexicali, and in Mexico City, and they're great hosts. I'm sure that they'll organize a very good event.
Yeah, right. Well, Tom, thanks again for being here. It was a pleasure for me. I wanna ask you for a final word for all the people who are watching. Who is watching? Sorry.
Muchas gracias, Alejandro. Me gusta. um, it was very nice to be able to be on your show, and I hope you have great success and you continue in doing this. As I said, I think that this year the most important thing that's happened has been the proliferation of these events. We have a referees Zoom call most every week in the US. It's been very valuable. We've had coaches on it. We've had administrators and referees, of course, to discuss all the issues. And it's a very good platform to do it. And I think you're doing a great job in bringing it to the world.
Yeah, well, thanks a lot, Tom. Next week on Wednesday on at I think it will be 7 p.m. Central. Bob Gambardella will be here. Bob San.
Very
And
good.
October 28th, the Olympian from '84, Rose Myers Powell, will be here also.
You've got some great guests, and I'm sure people that have a lot to say, and they'll be wonderful to listen to.
Well,
Thanks again, Alejandro.
I'm still chasing for Karen Kepner. I'm still chasing for Debbie Green, but I will get them very
Good luck.
soon. Thanks again, Tom.
You're
Keep
very
safe.
welcome.
Hope to see you pretty soon.
Thank you. De nada.
Hasta luego. Adiós.
Hasta luego.